Good afternoon, everybody. Nance at Star to Flurry coming at you today with kind of a surprise video because I show decks, what is this kink here? I just got my hair. I hair did today, and she likes to throw in a little curl, but it's always this random thing, so bear with. Anyways, so I don't do deck reviews per se. I talk about the decks that I like and point out reasons why I like them. Did I even start this? I did. Good. Um, and hello. I forgot to put my mic on. Whatever. I'm switching from. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't post that video. I switched from my stand-up mic to this because it gives me more room on my desk. The bottom line is I need a bigger desk, but this is get it straight here. There we go. But I think it turned out fine. The practice video I did with it turned out good, so I hope. And when I'm shuffling decks, I won't be bumping up against this, hopefully. So that's a good thing, too. Let's hope. Cheers. I am having a little wine. It's Thursday. I've had a very busy day. I started out my day with a meeting with my tax people, which went okay. And then I went, and then the only thing I had to do was a haircut. So, but then I ended up calling. I had reached out to ever since I moved into my house, I have this tree out front that is like this, and it drives me nuts. I don't look at it that often, but I know the neighbors do, and which is not that big a deal, but I'm very proud of my garden and my landscaping, and with this one tree's crooked, it's just like, what the frick? And I've explored many ways to get it fixed, and all of them are just either astronomical in price and also like 15 years before the thing will right itself. It's fairly old. It's been here since what, 10 years, and it was probably fairly mature when it was put in. Anyways, so my neighbors had two of their trees on the same row on the sidewalk had to be removed because they were ill, very ill, and not the neighbors, the trees. So they ended up replacing them with very mature maples, and I was like, I didn't know you could do that. I thought every time you if you take a tree out, you have to replace it with the little guy, and so that kind of got my wheels turning, and I thought, well, let's talk. And it was a really cool company, so I thought, let's call them and see what they could do about this tree. So I called. Plus, I had a situation with another tree that was that I thought might be a problem. So I had them. So I've been chatting with this guy, and finally he just says, I'll tell you right out, we can straighten the tree, but it will take probably 10 years or so, and cables and wires and stakes, and it's going to be a process, and it's an involved process and an expensive process because they have to cut out the roots and do all sorts of stuff. The roots of this, like if the tree's leaning this way, they have to cut the roots out on this. Or wait, on this side, so that it isn't being fed and it's more apt to go this whatever. I don't know trees, so don't quote me on that. But anyways, so he finally said, if it's that kind of a problem, you might want to. And I said, am I totally weird for wanting my tree straight? And he goes, no, don't beat yourself up about this. When you have a landscape beautiful yard, you want things to be the way they should be, and it's not healthy for a tree to be leaning like that. Anyways, just not. So he came out, over the phone. I sent him some pictures, and he said, "Yeah, we could do it." And he says, "So, first I was going to be I'm going to be at camping up at the Willows for at the end of next week, and then, um, at Newt's, which I'm very excited about, first time." In Portland the following week. So I said, it's 1st of October, too late in the fall to do this. He said, absolutely not. So great. He said, so I said, so what's my job now? And he goes, your job is to go find a tree. Okay. And so I was excited about doing that. And I called my neighbor who had just gone through the process because she knew a really cool place to go and how it works. And so we climbed in my car and we went out, my Jeep, and went out and bought myself a tree. And so when I got, and they'll hold the land, it's cool, the nursery will just hold it for you until it can be put in, and so uh, I'm rambling, sorry, but I'm so excited. So, anyways, I went. So I bought the tree, and so I texted my arborist, and I said, "By the way, trees bought. Brought a sugar maple. Um, trees bought. I'll keep you posted." And then he writes back, and he says, or he doesn't write back. He calls me, and he says, "Hey, we just finished a job a lot sooner than we thought. I've got time this afternoon. Do you want me to put the tree in today?" I mean, I was thinking October, and now it's today. And I was like, "Yes, please." So I was so excited. So they came out, took the old tree down. Ends up, the tree was very sick. It had a massive and it hadn't been looking good, and it hadn't really been growing with its peers in the neighborhood. It was the short guy on the block, which I mean, I'm used to that. That's what I am. I'm the short person on the block. But I guess it's not very good for a tree. And anyways, once they cut it down, they said, "Oh yeah, you got a serious problem here. This tree would have probably would have died on you. Done a very slow death. So do not feel bad about removing this tree." And they thought I picked out a very good maple, and they put it in, and it's so exciting to have a straight tree. And it's one of those things where it's this thing that nags at you, and you just kind of ignore it or don't think about it, and then you finally solve the problem, and you're like, "Why didn't I do this 5 years ago?" So very excited about that. So I did that, left there, got my hair cut, came back, and got some Happy Meal, as they say. And so I started this out saying I don't really do deck reviews, but I am so enamored with this deck in a very short period of time that I wanted to talk about it. And it's called the Retro Impression Tarot. My Tarot. Retro Impression Tarot Arcanums. So I bought both these. Okay, so sucker for a regular linen edition, and then I'm sucker for a pocket edition because I travel and I like to have pocket editions. So that's this. So the two together are like this. This is kind of almost a regular size tarot, but do I have it? I do have it, but it's a little thinner, I think. I don't know if it's taller. Okay, so let me get this so that you can all see it. I can see it, but let me make sure you can see it. So, if you can see it, it's a little bit taller than a regular tarot, but a little bit thinner. And it makes it very easy, for whatever reason, makes it easier to shuffle. I don't know why, just because it's a little thinner, whatever. This deck is also a linen. I don't know if I can get close enough for you to see it. It's a linen finish. I don't think it's can I don't know if you can see it or not. Get close enough to see the texture. I guess you can, kind of. Anyways, and then it has the gold. These are the backs. And then this is the sun card. It's got some gold little highlights on the sides. And it's very reminiscent of the Art Nouveau. Is that what it is? The little scarabeo. But it's so freaking pretty. And usually I'm weirded out by the sun card with the little baby, but it's not quite a baby. It's a little older. And he doesn't have that weird grin. It's actually gorgeous. It comes in a beautiful. It's not magnetic, but you don't need it. It's just a little thing, and it has a little white book. And I'll show some of those cards, but I want to show this deck first. This is the pocket edition, and I will tell you right off the bat, it's almost it's probably. I should have brought one down to compare, but it feels I was really kind of like, oh dear God, what have I done? Because it wasn't horribly expensive, but it's very tiny, and I don't get along with super tiny pocket decks because they're hard. You can't shuffle them. Is it Los Scarabeo are the ones I hate. U.S. Games, the pockets in a tin are tolerable, but frequently almost too chunky to really shuffle easily until you really break them in. And Los Scarabeos, like the Everyday Witch pocket and the Luella pocket, they're so tiny that you just you forget shuffling, whatever it is. They just don't work. This, on the other hand, so first of all, these are the backs. Gold foiling still there. Gold foiling still on the cards too, which is unusual. I ordered the pocket Art Nouveau, and it was just no. Not great because the gold foil was not there. Now, and what's weird is this deck is really heavy. And I was like, is this a linen too? What is this? It took me a while to figure out. I finally had to go back to the website. And I'll link it up below. Vermilion, I think is the website. Went back to figure out what it is. And what it is PVC. But look at that gilding. Okay, Grant, I haven't shuffled a lot, but oh my God, it's the good gilding. The good gilding. Oh, I didn't show that on the bigger. Well, I'll show that later. So good gilding on a little deck. Who does that? Backs, gold foil, gold part, whatever it is, on both sides. And then I'm going to bring it down and show you the shuffle. Oops. But, and I did that poorly. Sorry. Sometimes I don't get my cards close enough. Okay, that was a shuffle and a bridge with a teeny tiny pocket. Okay, so what's the deal? The deal is it's PVC. I finally looked it up. I was like, what's the deal with this deck? I've never had a pocket deck plastic. And everybody who does pocket decks should do this. Because, oh my God, you could shuffle them. They fit in my hand. I mean, I love pocket decks because they fit in my hand. I hate pocket decks because, you know, I wear glasses. It's hard to see sometimes. But it's mostly about they're just a thorn in my side to handle. These are not a thorn in my side to handle. They're little. I think the images are beautiful. Just as beautiful on this deck as they are in the big deck. And so I'm like, this has got Nancy's 100% seal of approval. Because it's great. Look at that shine, though, really. It's a matte kind of, it's a PVC. But it's not as super shiny, except for the gold stuff. And the images are just, you know, Rider-Waite Smith, you know, totally. But so, they're just so lovely. I want to show you the fonts of the majors. I already showed you the, oh, hello, where are they? Sun card. Or maybe they did, maybe there are no titles. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think there are titles. I think they just, let's see if I can. Oh yeah, okay, so there are no titles, just the numbers in Roman numerals. So normal numbers for everything else, and then they have icons for the court cards, and then Roman numerals for the majors, and then just numbers for the minors. But anyways, wow, I'm highly impressed with this deck. And this is actually a pocket I will take with me because I like it. I'm excited about it. So, again, it is the Retro, let's put it close enough so you can see it, Retro Impressions Tarot Arcanum. I don't know how to pronounce it. Somebody tell me how to pronounce it. So there's that. And then the regular size deck. And the little one also comes with a little teeny tiny white book. It's just it's absolutely the same book as the big one, except tinier. And these are just basic meanings. But it's Rider-Waite Smith, so you get it. So this deck, a little chunkier, but it has this beautiful matte gilding. And the camera's doing it pretty good justice. It's almost a peachy. It's gorgeous. It goes so beautiful with the backs. And then again, just a freaking great shuffle. I can't get over how great these decks are. And the boxes are gorgeous and beautiful. And I don't know. I mean, I haven't even worked with it, and I don't even care. I just love it in my hands. I'm so excited I have it. And I'm trying to see. So it says text by Zen Chong, artwork by Yao Li. So I don't know if that's Chinese or Thai or what, but it's absolutely stunning. And I picked it up at the Vermilion something. I'll link down below. Um, but I cannot recommend these decks more highly. Most specifically, the little pocket edition, because oh my god, it's gorgeous. So, number two, um, I don't usually wade into not politics, but wade into current events because they're so volatile. But if you're not following the Ruby Frankie Jody Hildebrandt fiasco that's going on in Salt Lake or well around in Utah, um, follow it, learn from it. It is. I kind of went down the rabbit hole of many things on YouTube and was absolutely fascinated by what's going on with that whole thing. I mean, it's disgusting. It involves just things we never want to talk about, but we have to. And I won't say it here because, don't want YouTube to. I mean, it's not monetized, but I don't want them to tell me I can't play it either. But anyways, do your homework. Check it out. If you haven't heard about it, please look into it. It's a story that will make you so sad and so sick, and yet you will learn so much from it about many things. And the other thing, and I'm going to link it below as well because I think people need to learn about this stuff, is a podcast called Mormon Stories, which talks about people who have, not solely defected from the Mormon Church, but people's stories revolving around the Mormon Church. And they're fascinating because it is. I don't want to knock Mormons. I've known many of them. They're wonderful people. My dad has always said the Mormons got them through the Depression. Because they always had food. They would leave bread. They would leave food on the porch without even asking, or being asked to do that. So I don't want to knock these people or their religion, but I will tell you that the church has issues. And as I'm watching these stories, and I've kind of been oddly immersed in them for a while, it reminded me of the whole Nexium thing. Not that Nexium is a different deal, but it's the same thing, where people are being controlled by people really who have no right to control them. And so I started rewatching, and I'll link it down below as well, on HBO, The Vow. It's called The Vow, and it's 2 seasons, and it's fascinating. It's utterly fascinating. Teaching you about kind of the cult, how people get into cults, why they can't leave. It's just, God, it's just like, people always say, why don't abused women leave? It's not that easy. It doesn't take a day to get into an abused relationship. It doesn't take a day to get out. And imagine growing up with the Mormon churches for a lifetime and then deciding maybe it wasn't right and then trying to get out of that, or God forbid, have a marriage that you're trying to work with a corrupt Mormon therapist. Oh my God. But it's just fascinating. And then you just, I mean, it's the same thing with what's that documentary Wild Country, which was all about the Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh, whatever his name was. I was in Portland at the time, so they were always there. And that documentary, if I can find a link, I'll link it down below, is amazing. So if you're at all interested and fascinated by the mindset that it takes within the leaderships of these kind of things, and I'll include the Catholic Church in there as well. I mean, one of the most amazing things on the Mormon Stories was an interview they did with Adam Steed, who was probably most well known for being the whistleblower on the issues that the Boy Scouts had about 3 years ago with inappropriate behavior and blah, 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 blah. And it almost brought down the Boy Scouts. In fact, I don't know if it did or not, but it came damn close. And it certainly paid out a lot of money. But Adam Steed was the guy who did that. So he did an interview with John Delaney from Mormon Stories, a 5-hour plus interview. And I sat yesterday because I had time. believe it or not. I can't, to watch the entire thing. And it was stunning what he went through. And this story is not about the Boy Scouts. It's a preamble to the rest of the story that he went through with the Mormon Church and Miss Jody Hildebrand, who is in the current news today with a cohort, Ruby Frankie, and her kids that were not at all well cared for. And one finally escaped and had the neighbor call the police. Just, yeah, Google it if you're at all interested. It's not easy to watch, but it's there. And we all need to know about it, and we need to frickin' get the word out. Because what I don't want to happen is, I mean, the Mormon Church is incredibly powerful. It's just like the Catholic Church. They will do everything in their power to tamp this down. Solve it in their own way. Don't involve the press. Well, they've involved the press. I mean, it's like, what's that movie? Michael Keaton. Won a. I think they won the Oscar about the whole situation with the Catholic Church and everything that was going on with that. Boston Globe broke the story. It took a long time to get it out, but once they got it out, it made things crumble for good reason, because there were problems, still are. I don't think they solved them all, but these institutions are huge and well funded, so it's not. What am I trying to say? News story is not going to bring them down completely, but it certainly got them in the news and it got people talking. And the thing is, one of the things that one of the people in the Nexium cult was quoted as saying in one of these other interviews that they did on Mormon Stories was, she said, if we talk about abuse loudly, we can help those people who are being abused quietly. So, something like that. It's a better way to write it. And if I could come up with that, I'll put it in the link below. But I'll put it below. But it was a very well said statement and so true. It's like this can't be shoved under the rug. And like I said, I'm not trying to bring down the Mormon Church. That's not what this is about. But they need to frickin' get their act together. This is frickin' ridiculous. And if you watch these stories, and listen to these stories, that the crap that these people are put through is it's ludicrous. And Adam Steed should sue the fucking pants off, pardon my French, off of them and Jody Hildebrand, everybody. He should get a ton of money. I'm sorry, it's not gonna solve his issues, but it might come close. And the other thing about that interview with Adam Steed is, you could probably just Google Adam Steed and it'll come up. But if I find the link, or I can't find the link, I'll put it below. The thing about him is, when I first started watching the video, it was kind of like, man, this guy's all over the place. He's really just not. He was really having a tough time, kind of getting words out of his mouth, and he seemed super wimpy, and he seemed super like there's definitely something not right here. And so, go with what he's saying with a grain of salt. But as the interview progressed, and John Delane did an incredible job with him, as the interview progressed, his thoughts got, and again, this is probably trauma going on. Trauma and the nervousness starts to get more and more laser focused on what he went through. And it's an incredible story. It's absolutely incredible. And then another one that this John Delane does on this podcast is he talks to the niece of Jody Hildebrand, who is this interesting, quote, Mormon approved therapist, her niece was actually given to her to straighten out, and everything the niece talks about is exactly what's coming out with these kids that she suddenly took charge of from Ruby Frankie. So patterns galore. And when you hear about what Adam Steed went through, again, very similar patterns of keeping this information, very tight within the higher ups, not letting. In fact, I mean, Adam couldn't even at some point in some kind of settlement or whatever, was going. He was convinced not to ever tell his parents. He was, I don't know, 13 when he was going through this with the Boy Scouts. He was told not to tell his parents. This is his bishops or whoever. I don't understand the hierarchy in the Mormon church, but, and again, I'm not saying that the Mormons, Catholics the same way. I think that any kind of organized Scientology, any kind of organized religion or self-help organization with higher ups and rules and regulations and generally lots of money, be it tithing or donations or the only way you can get to this next level is to pay us $1 million, Tom Cruise. I mean, yeah, it's just insane. So, anyways, I encourage people to go and do their research. This can't be kept quiet, in my opinion. This particular story, it needs to be addressed, and changes need to be made. Because, as I said, I think I know and have worked with many Mormons, and they're all incredibly wonderful, nice, beautiful people. But I think the institution within which they live their lives is incredibly corrupt and has way too much power over their individual lives. And as long as your lives are going along just fine, then everything's fine. But the minute there's a problem, then suddenly all the higher-ups get involved, and then you enter somebody like Jody, who is going to be a vindictive jerk, and she will mess you up. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. This is going to be a freaking amazing story to watch because it's not over. Her and Ruby being in jail right now, that's the tip of the iceberg. So, again, I'm sorry that I'm bringing this up, but I think I need to spread the word. This is just insane. This stuff needs to be addressed. It needs to be talked about. And it just does. It's not, it shouldn't be allowed. Pure and simple. Okay, so that's my stories for today. Sorry to go on that rant, but, sometimes you just got to get it off your chest. But again, with that being said, definitely a deck worth checking out. And again, I'll put the link below. Thank you so much for coming by. I always appreciate it. Star and Flurry out.